Welcome to Sidelines, stories from the Oklahoma Sports Heritage Museum in Guthrie, Oklahoma. This 11-episode series highlights some of the most interesting tales connected to this gem of a museum, celebrating the rich history of professional and collegiate athletics in Oklahoma. Coach, we're going to talk about one of the greatest rodeo athletes of all time, Jim Shoulders.
When we started the sports museum, we were trying to decide what sports to focus on, and of course, football, basketball, and baseball. But rodeo has been big in Oklahoma and been a part of our heritage of our state because cattle drives came through here, and so we included pro rodeo. And one of the greatest athletes in pro rodeo, and we have great athletes in that sport now, and they are definitely athletes. Of course, we've got the Lazy Arena just close. One of our displays is focused on Jim Shoulders. He was 16-time world champion in pro rodeo, 5 all around, 7 in bull riding, and 4 in bareback riding. And we have a portrait of Jim out in on his ranch, and Jim also raised bucking bulls. And he raised one of the greatest bucking bulls of all time called Tornado. And Tornado is the background of that portrait of Jim. And so it is about a 8-foot portrait of Jim. Jim was a 16-time world champion. He's a charter member in the Cowboy Hall of Fame. And we have pictures of him with President Eisenhower whenever the pro rodeo was just getting started, and they were trying to develop that. And he's been inducted in the Oklahoma Hall of Fame. He's also the only cowboy in the Madison Square Gardens Hall of Fame.
Huh.
They had rodeos there, and Jim won several championships there. And so
Have you ever been there before?
At the Square Garden, I have never been there.
I've walked past it, but I haven't been inside. I've always wanted to go to a basketball game or something.
Of course, it's different than the original was, but it's still called that. Yeah. And we were watching the Thunder play there the other night on TV, and I said, I wished I could seen the original Madison Square Gardens, because it goes clear back to the 20s. And but they did have a championship rodeo there after the Professional Rodeo Association was started, and he won some championships there, and so he's been inducted there. He's from Henrietta, Oklahoma. He started out, grew up around the Tulsa area, and got into the rodeo business on a small level at first and loved it and became very successful at it. And the portrait that he has, he's standing there with his bull riding rigging and his bareback rigging, so we have examples of those things there. We also, one of the prized pieces we have in the museum is that Jim and his wife had told me that they were going to give us one of his world championship saddles. When they win the world championship, you don't ride a bull with a saddle, but they give them a championship saddle. And so after he passed, his wife brought us this saddle, and she was apologizing because it had dirt on it, dust on it, because he had ridden in this saddle on his ranch. Uh-huh. I said, don't paddle. That makes it even better.
Sure.
But it's the 1954 World Champion Bull Riding Saddle. And we have it on display there by his portrait. And Jim was a gentleman and a great athlete, a great raiser of livestock, a credit to Oklahoma and the rodeo industry. They're just hard to not say good things about him.
Come learn more about Jim Shoulders and the history of rodeo in Oklahoma. The museum here is a great place to learn about all that stuff. We've had 10 or 11 of these episodes now. It's been a lot of fun to talk about some great athletes, great teams. Come to the museum here in Guthrie to learn. It's literally like 100 years of sports history. It focuses on Oklahoma, but you come learn these stories about these Oklahoma athletes, and you learn about the history of baseball, the history of rodeo, all this stuff. Like, this is such a great jumping off point. If you're a history and sports, person, this is a great place to get started on all these great little rabbit trails to learn about these incredible people, incredible teams.
Well, people have been very cooperative with us at the museum, and I've had people say, "Where do you get all this stuff?" I said, "I can't manufacture it. It has to be given to us by either teams or individuals or collectors to represent Oklahoma." And a lot of things that need to be on display and represent our sports history are in somebody's attic or garage or somewhere, or they're picked up in a garage sale, but they're part of our history and need to be kept together and for our young people to learn from. And one of the purposes of the museum when it was established was to honor Oklahoma athletes and to use their influence in a positive way for kids.
Well, Coach, thanks for everything you've done with the museum. Thanks for telling these stories. I learned a lot through this entire series. This has been a lot of fun.
Well, I enjoy it, and I've learned a lot. I don't know and I'm not smarter than anybody else. I just have had some pretty good experiences.
And you never say no when someone says, "Hey, do you want to take a look at this thing that I got in my garage?"
That's right. And and we try to put a lot of things on display so that the ones that are being honored, if they have given to the museum or their family has, they can come here and they can say, "Where is Granddad's stuff?" And I can say, "Well, here's where it's at, over here." And so we're there to represent those men and women. We got a great display because the University of Oklahoma has provided us with things from their softball championship. We have a great display on the 21, 22, and 23 NCAA softball championship.
That's awesome.
And again, women athletes have been great in Oklahoma. We've honored them in baseball, basketball, softball, whatever, and so golf. And so we've got great athletes, both men and women. We've had times when we've highlighted several athletes of our black community, of our Native American community, and then us that are a mixture of whatever, Yeah. And so we've got history of all our Native people in Oklahoma.
Yeah, come learn about the history of sports in general in Oklahoma at the Oklahoma Sports Heritage Museum here in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Coach, thanks for telling these stories.
You bet. Thank you for having me. And we appreciate the opportunity to share this with people. Come see us. And we're just here to educate people and let them enjoy memories in the past. People come in and say, "Oh, I remember that guy when I was growing up," and so
that's what it's about.
That's what it's about.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You bet. Thank you.